So, hi Facebook. Today is the first of the I Want to Be a Real Estate Agent lives, and I really don't expect anybody to be here because it is the first of them. And I think we've only got 6 people in the group, so what I intend to really do with this one is just start babbling about real estate and then save it for video fodder later. And then work on lighting, because the lighting isn't so good here. I need more lighting. Hi, Michelle. Michelle, I need more lighting. Clearly. Okay, so what is it about being a real estate agent that people want? What draws people? For the most part, it draws people in with what kind of income you can make and what kind of hours you can set for yourself. Let me think of some other things that would draw people into doing real estate. I like for me, the thing about it that I liked the most was I grew up in a construction household, so I really like being in houses, especially older Victorian houses, stuff built by around the 1900s. I'm also, so there's a couple of things too that I know I'm good at, that made me choose this, and some other things that I know strength-wise and weakness-wise that I figured I would be good for this and could fill in some of the weakness stuff. And that's going to be a big thing when you're starting out, that you're going to have to figure out too. What are you good at and what are you not so good at? And I've been coaching sports, mainly horse stuff, horseback riding for probably 28 to 30 some odd years. Since I was 16, I'm 46, so whatever math-wise that might be. The beginning of it I didn't do so much, but really started coaching in 1996. So from 1996 on, I know what it takes to start beginners, and then move people through advanced things. And yes, okay, so that's horse stuff. It's not real estate, but there's a thing. All things in the world tie together, and it does apply. So I'm going to try to not expect this, that my camera and my light are going to fall because they're bad. The tripod is not, I can't tighten it. I don't have the right size screwy thing to tighten the thing, so it will probably fall. It's teetering and it's scaring me a little bit. So beside that, tech difficulty. Anyway, so coaching. Lately, I have been on a YouTube binge watching of looking for bad coaches, because there's a lot of them out there and they're predatory to new people. So I want to bring that up too, so I'll get back to that in a minute, because you're going to find, if you're starting with real estate, you're going to find that you're going to be approached by a lot of coaches, and they're all going to give you a great big spiel, and I'll give you a couple of my experiences with them too, because I was really adamant in the beginning that I needed a coach, because that's what everybody says, you need a coach, and being a coach, I know coaches are good, but really what you need when you start off, get a coach later. Don't start off with a coach, because you're going to waste a whole lot of money on a coach that's going to give you advice. I'm going to try to not talk about it too much. It's going to give you advice that you don't need right now, and it's going to be a waste because you're going to forget about it. And your time is the most valuable thing when you first start off, so you need to use it wisely. And when you're first starting out, one of the things that I'm trying to keep my thoughts ordered, because there's so much I want to say and I could go on for hours. When you first start off, you need to organize your stuff, yourself. Most importantly, yourself. Organize yourself. A life coach would be better in the beginning than a real estate coach, I think, and maybe even a therapist, I think, would be probably really the best option. And not that you're crazy for getting into business for yourself, entrepreneurship or real estate. I just think it's a good to help they can help you sort out what you are really good at and what you can really improve upon. So when I coach, I like to keep words as positive as possible. I was certified for EGALA, EAGALA, and that's equine therapy, with working with an equine coach and a therapist, not really a therapist, psychotherapist, and a horse, or several horses. So we were taught very stringently to use positive words and not leading questions and suggestions and help people figure their own, as we put it, their own shit out on their own. Let it be their idea. So one of the things that's important too is to really recognize what you're good at, because this is an entrepreneurship. It's not just, I'm a real estate agent and I just do stuff. It's not set up that way. And that's one of the things that you don't often realize, is that it's not really set up like that. You work under a brokerage, and within that brokerage, you do your own thing. Now, some brokerages are different. I'm lucky enough with my personality. EXP works good for me. I get a lot of freedom, and I don't have to show up at an office, and I'm not really up to date on the latest of fashions. I spend a lot of time around big things that poop a lot. So most of the time I just look like farm girl, which is part of the reason why I specialized in doing farms. So what are the things that interest you? You've got to sort that out. You've got to understand what kind of brokerage you're working with. If you're the kind of person that needs a brokerage where you show up for hours, then that's fine. Go work with a brokerage that you have desk space. Another thing for me is that I am a proud Polish person, and we are cheap. And I won't spend $1,000 a month on a desk fee. That was one of the big things that held me off from doing real estate, because I was going to start. I even took the class, passed it with a 96 in 08. Biggest thing was, geez, the economy is tanking, and will I have $1,000 a month to put into this? Not at first. So I didn't want to do that at that time. It felt too risky. So I went and did other things. That's when I started my stable, actually. So risky, so much overhead. What was I thinking? It would have been cheaper to do real estate, and I would have made more money faster, maybe. But that's another story for another day. But when you're starting off, your brokerage is going to be a big deal, and you're going to be approached by hundreds of, maybe not hundreds, but maybe 25 brokerages that want to have you, that are local. So you've got to pick what your personality is going to flow with. So one very fancy, elaborate, please join our brokerage, was from a luxury brokerage, and I was like, ooh, the money would be so nice. And then 2 seconds later, I was like, nah, that's not gonna fly. That's not gonna work. They're gonna hate me. So I was like, nope, not gonna go there. That would have been nice. And then I had several other brokerages, but what I did a lot of was I looked around and I asked other real estate agents. People are willing to talk. Don't be afraid to ask. That's a big deal. People want to talk to you. They want to help you do stuff. And there's a lot of brokerages that are just going to be kind of like have that MLM kind of stress pressure you into joining kind of feel. I didn't feel like that when I joined EXP, but I had my fun friend Michelle, who moved over to EXP right before we really started talking a lot. She helped me find a rental here in North Carolina, and then moved on from there. And she was just very matter of fact with stuff, and she's my new BFF. So we spend a lot of time together, and she's pretty cool. So she is what we call in our up line. I don't have a down line. That's not going to be my big thing. I'm not into being pushy and pressury. I will say that I do want to start a little team and have a team of people that I actually spend a lot of time coaching and helping with, and whoever would want to be under me if they wanted to join EXP. I'm totally going to be all about the coaching, because I love coaching more than life itself. I love watching people get that, oh, I get it. Oh, I understand. Oh, mind-blowing moment. It's like my favorite thing in the world. It gives me goosebumps, and I love it. I adore the people that I coach, and I get a kick out of it, and it's a whole lot of fun for me. So I thoroughly enjoy that, and I would totally help everybody who is underneath me hardcore, tell them all the secrets, all the how-tos when they're ready to hear them. So that's another thing about coaching. Anyways, back to why you want to be a real estate agent. So the misnomer about making your own schedule, it is a nice thought. You do have a lot of extra freedom. I will absolutely agree with that. But your schedule is going to revolve around who needs what when and how quick you can get it done a lot of times. Sometimes you can't get it done, and there's a lot of things that can sit and wait. It is not a mandatory or a super emergency that a document gets in done at a certain time, except in the very beginning. Some other stuff can kind of wait a little while, so if you're grocery shopping, you don't have to drop everything and run out of the store and go do stuff. But you are definitely attached to a timeline, especially with a lot of different types of paperwork that you're going to come across. So you should have your phone handy with you all the time, access to good internet. That's pretty important. I had one day when I was living out in the country where I had satellite because it was the only thing available. Storm came through right when I really needed to turn in some paperwork and knocked my internet out, and I had to go pick up all of my stuff through the storm and go to a local brewery, and I hate saying that word, and set up shop over there. So they were totally cool with that, and they had dogs, so I was hanging with the dogs and doing paperwork. So it wasn't a bad thing, but it was just a panic moment because I didn't have good internet at the time. So that's another cool thing about certain brokerages, that you're not tied to a desk. You have more freedom with that. You do have time where you could go pick up your kids. Absolutely. You can. Some people bring their kids with them when they go do showings and stuff like that. If it's a safe area, it's not a vacant, property out in the middle of absolutely nowhere on 7,500 acres, you're fine. You can do a lot of different things within your time frame, and there's a lot of things in life that you can work around in a time frame too. It's very helpful. So with that, yes, you do have more freedoms in a lot of ways. You also, this is really super important too, you got to think about real estate like it is your business. You are an entrepreneur. That's a fact. You don't have managers, really, so to speak. You have a broker in charge, a BIC. And that person is your go-to for questions, or if something comes up that you're having trouble with, because you're going to have, like any entrepreneurship, you're going to have problems with clients. You're going to have problems with other providers. I've got some stories. Not all loan places are created equal. There's some that are much better than others. There's some loan officers that are better than others. There's BICs that are definitely better than others. Fortunately, with my brokerage, we have a lot of people that we can contact, and there was one moment where I had a hard time getting a hold of somebody for kind of a quasi-emergency situation. But for the most part, anytime something came up, if I had a question, we have the entire EXP, everybody in EXP will help you. So there's no lack of a quick response, really, for, I would say, 98% of the time. So on the entrepreneurship side, that's another hard word to say, you have to be able to be willing to put in 80 hours a week of work. Now, my former version or definition of work hard was to be sweaty, to be dirty, to be bleeding at some point. That's something that you touch makes you bleed or whatever, because workaholism, but I also I should have played rugby in high school. I ran track. I'm kind of a sporty, kind of run around, do stuff person. That was working hard. So the hard thing for me, switching from running a stable and a farm, was what it was too. I farmed hay. Going from a farm business, and I used to be a farrier too. That's a person who puts shoes on horses. Going from that kind of work where you're expected to bleed at some point to sitting at a desk, putting on makeup, and doing my hair It was weird. It was very hard. I didn't feel like I was working. I felt like this is not work. I don't feel like I'm working hard enough. So I would end up working a lot more than I really needed to, and running around in circles, not feeling like I was working, because I wasn't expending the calories, basically, is what it was. So I really need a treadmill, and I need to be able to do my computer work on a treadmill. I think I'd feel better then that way, and I would feel like I was putting in effort. So that's something you've got to figure out, your personality. Are you able to be an entrepreneur? Not everybody is. So don't give up on real estate, because here's an important thing that people don't realize when they're picking a career path. I have a lot of kids that come through that take writing lessons that are like, well, I want to be a veterinarian. And it's like, kid, so do 500,000 other people who are taking writing lessons right now. And there are 200 spots in college. There are other aspects of the horse world that you can have, good income from, and a fun job, and one that you're going to like. Well, that's the same thing with real estate. It's the same in any industry. Just because your in path maybe isn't a good fit for you doesn't mean that there's not other things out there. So one of the things that real estate agents need is, I'll get into the fun stuff in a minute. It's the stuff I like a lot. One of the things that real estate agents need is a TC, transaction coordinator. If you don't want to be in front of people all the time, and maybe you feel like you're not a good social person, introverted, there's a definite skill set for introverts with real estate, though. Hold on a tick. You can be a transaction coordinator, and that's a really good, I think, my plan for my newbie team, mini team, baby team, is going to be everybody's got to have experience with the paperwork side, because that's, if you're on your own real estate wise, you're going to be doing your own paperwork, and there's a lot of it. I also did title work for a long time too, so I'm pretty familiar with the wording and contracts and stuff like that with real estate. That was another reason why I went into real estate too, because I had the title work practice. So you could be a transaction coordinator, and then that's kind of a freelance thing, and that's definitely work from home. And it doesn't matter. You don't have to be physically able to throw around bales of hay, or even drive to different places, or hike upstairs. If you've got physical limitations, that's a really great avenue, a really great idea. You can make some good money for doing that, especially when you get good at it. And it's about organization. So if you're a very organized person who maybe doesn't have a physical ability to, run around to houses and stuff, and that's not really hard, not compared to farming. So, but if you do have something like that, then that's a really good choice. The other jobs are, you could be working inside your company, and the office stuff. You still have to have a license for these things, because you have to have access to the MLS. And you have to understand the laws, and you have to be able to understand the contracts and stuff like that. So you definitely still need your real estate license. When you're working in the office setting, there's all kinds of, I'm not totally as familiar with that, but there's room for accountants. There's room for legal. There's room for paralegal. So if you have those kinds of backgrounds, you could be involved in real estate too. Did I say accounting? There's definitely accounting. Payroll. A little bit of HR if you're in the higher, more deeply into the corporate side of a real estate brokerage, a bigger one. There's also you could work towards being an inspector if you totally just don't like it. That's another aspect of the housing industry that's very good. And here's another thing too. You could be property manager. That is not my cup of tea. I will never do that. If I have rentals, I will hire a property manager, because I don't want to touch it. I just want to cash the check and let the property manager deal with that. But yeah, there's a whole lot of other stuff that you can do. If it turns out that you have your real estate license, you poured all kinds of money into it, you're not willing to give up the effort that you put in and what you have to go through for school. So I'll talk about school in a minute too. There's a lot of other ways you can use your real estate license. That doesn't necessarily mean you have to be in front of somebody all the time and talking to them and cold calling and all of these scripts That's another word I hate saying. The scripts are stupid. Don't listen to scripty people. It'll give you an idea. What my opinion is that it will give you an idea what to say to people, but you got to be yourself, or you're going to come off as a used car salesman, and nobody likes them. So I don't recommend scripting. So school. That's another good topic. Yes, the class is hard. The tests are difficult. I passed on my first go, but I've already, like I said, in 2008, I took the class for Indiana. North Carolina is a heck of a lot harder. The book is like, the Indiana book is maybe 2/3 the size of the North Carolina book, so the North Carolina's got a lot more stuff in there. But having experience in construction, having experience with title already, and ownership and whatnot, and having to read and understand the ownership and the job that I had for mineral oil gas title work that I did, that kind of title work is extremely difficult. You've got to start and you've got to go back to the beginning of, you've got to find the very first document ever associated with ownership for a particular property, and then you've got to follow it back into the future and understand where how everybody owned what thing and where it could possibly be, because these people that are buying the mineral rights, or leasing out the mineral rights from the owners, they have to know that those owners absolutely own that property. And if not, sometimes we had to go, call people in Europe to get them to sign a lease and that kind of stuff. So that's pretty in-depth, and it's so not like that with real estate. That's another thing you could do. Title. You could work in a title for a title company. You don't need a real estate license for that. You just have to understand the paperwork side of it and the legal terms. But title and real estate is a piece of cake. It's I could probably do that in my sleep. That's set up very differently than digging around for oil rights. So that's, that's a good thing too, another option. But having that background, it did not scare me to talk about the parts of that in the class. I already understood it. And I got to contribute some of that knowledge into the class too. My cat is playing behind me, I'm sorry. She likes to play with my blanket, and I'm in the boffice. Oh, I forgot to welcome you to my boffice. How rude. Let's see, what more about class? The hardest part, I think, for me in the class was, definitely the math. Absolutely the math side of it. I am very not good at math. There are a lot of very not good at math people out there that do just fine in real estate, because really, a lot of that is going to be the lender's job. I just defer all of the math questions and the finance questions to the lender, because it's not my job. I'm going to probably get it wrong. And I'm probably going to get it wrong because I'm insecure about math. Have been since I was a little kid. So that's never going to go away. I accept that. We move on. It's the lender's job. And you're safer having the lender answer those questions anyway, just because they're the experts. And you want to be able to trust your experts. So when you get a good lender friend, that's who you want to lean on when it comes to the lender questions. So that's something that you don't have to worry about when you're talking to your clients a whole lot. I mean, you have to have a basic understanding of where the money's going to go, and you have to be able to double check and make sure that the CD, your closing documents, are correct, and that the money, the monies, the different sections of money are deducted and added to the correct places. That's something that you're going to have to catch. But then again, I mean, the dollar amounts. You just look for the dollar amounts and you double check, you make sure. Have a friend nearby who's an accountant, and then you could say, this debit goes, how so? Does this make sense? And then you're going to fight with that a couple of times if your first go when you're looking at those. They're confusing because it's an accounting talk. And it's an accounting math. And accounting math is very different than most other kinds of math. I think that's just the most confusing part. The other part that was hard for me in the test was going over, or the class was going over the back to the money stuff and the mathy parts, loan to value ratios, I think that was hard. And then in the beginning, and then property management. But I already knew going in, I already had a boarding stable with horses, and I can only imagine that working with like a 50 tenant apartment building would be 1,000 times worse than what I experienced with people and their horses. So I would pay attention to that part as much as I needed to get most of the answer right, and I just wasn't going to emotionally hold on to the answer for that. It was probably going to be wrong. Cool. That's how I passed algebra class. It's probably going to be wrong, and I'm not going to fret. I'm not going to worry about it anymore because I know it's going to be wrong. So I accept it, move on, and just focus on the stuff that I'm good at. So totally wanted to nail all of the ownership parts, the title, and that part of it, and then I just focused on that and just made sure that I could get through the wording of their questions. Oh, anyone who has taken the class or the test, or even if you've been through a couple of classes and a couple of tests and you've not passed, you are familiar with the way they word their questions, and it's a nightmare. That is really the hard part. Fortunately, also, I am really good at taking tests, and I'm really good at sorting out what the real answer is going to be, without, I lean on that a lot, and most of I didn't do homework in high school, so I just aced tests. I got really good at just pulling myself through by acing the tests, because I can't sit still. College was different. I got all A's. But when you're working on this kind of stuff, you just lean on your strengths. The class is hard, absolutely. I've got a little study buddy group of people who are trying to pass it, and neither one of them passed. And for both of them, it ended up being the questions wording, and one of them, poor thing, has missed it by one question every time. And then you're definitely not alone in that. It's actually more rare that somebody takes the class once and passes on the first go, because you got to take the class, you got to pass the class test, and then you got to pass the licensing test. I passed both of those very good, but like I said, I'm good at taking tests. That's definitely a strong suit. I take tests for fun sometimes, just to see if I can pass it. I like it. So for you've got to decide which part is your strength and which part is your weakness. And absolutely, like with any other job, once you get into it, or one career type, you do feel out what you're good at, and then you can move over into that direction. So there's a lot of job opportunities if you find out that, like cold calling's not your jam. Well, I have some fun news about that too, of a lot of research that I've been doing lately. I feel, well, I'll get to that in a minute. So other reasons why you might want to be getting into real estate. A lot of people with kids do that because you do have access to, you can schedule people around to a degree, of school times. And there's going to be a lot of people that you're going to work with who have kids that have to, we can't go see houses, and we got to go pick up the kids. Okay, fine. So you can schedule 4 showings in the midday, and then take a break to go everybody pick up their kids, and then you go look at the next set of houses in the afternoon. If it's something like they're only going to be around, or they have to, let's say they have to move in a month. They have to find something to buy in a month. So you nail it really hard, and you just go at it, and you dive into showings. That's one way to go about doing it too. So you do have those kinds of leeways, and it is a nice check when you do close. This market currently is a nightmare. Everybody hates it. The lenders are stressed to no end because they're constantly going through paperwork, and they're being pressured and have to move really fast on their paperwork. Us real estate agents, we don't have, I have right now 5 buyers One of them, and we've been looking for almost a year. Our 1-year anniversary is coming up, but they're looking for a very specific property. I have another buyer that I met. Boom, done. We're under contract in 2 days. So there's a little bit of that stuff. It's picking who you're working with too. So that's another thing about entrepreneurship is your clients. You've got to be savvy about who you want to work with. And when I started my stable, knowing horse people as deeply as I did, I knew there were some crazies I didn't want to even, nope, we're not talking, nope, I'm not, click, not finishing this first conversation with you because I know that you're toxic. There are toxic people, there are toxic clients, and a toxic client is just that. It is a toxicity that will hurt you. This job is already hard enough to begin with, so you have to be very savvy about who you're not going to let into your mind space. We have to spend a lot of time with people. If you are good with people, like I am very good face to face. I want to talk to people face to face. If I get somebody face to face, I will get them. They will be my client. COVID's made that difficult. Very, very difficult. But everybody who I've met over at a property to have a first conversation with, they're just like, yes, cool, let's work with you. And when that's my strong suit. So when you meet somebody and you're first starting off, so the newbie tip, definitely check and make sure, listen to your gut. If your gut is saying, but I think this one is crazy, can we not talk to this person? Please do listen to them. And I know it is so hard, and I have made this mistake with real estate because the COVID's hit and I needed a job, I needed to work. I took somebody that I kind of like knew I shouldn't take. Yeah, did not turn out well. So follow the gut. And it is very hard when you're first starting off and you're like, but I've already spent in several $1,000s to, not several, it's not really that. It doesn't have to be that expensive. You've already taken the class. I've already signed up with a brokerage. I'm already paying the fees, and I need to bring in the money. Yeah, totally true. It's totally true. But you get one toxic person, and if you're not good at managing your social media, and I had 10 years of experience managing social media in a business aspect, I could run around and block from all of the places that person. If you're not savvy with that, they can damage your business. And if you're already getting like, oh God, I don't have enough closings, and you're desperate to take anybody, you're going to be focusing on that and not being able to focus about it from a business aspect, but you're going to be at a desperation aspect. And every new business is like that too. You need to have the clients. The money's got to come back in. So you just have to be careful. Surround yourself by people who will help you pick the sane clients. There's a lot of different ways to tell if somebody's not, and this comes back from my entrepreneurial experience. If somebody really badmouths a former whatever it might be, the people that came to my stable that badmouthed their former boarding facility, I was like, you smell a lot like trouble. So we're going to end this nicely and be like, oh, hey, guess what? Somebody else already came in to fill in that spot. They were on the waiting list. Sorry. We're full. Even though, like I might have had, especially in the beginning, I had 20 stalls. I needed to fill 7 to break even on the lease. I needed to have 3 more to pay for all the feed. And I needed to have an additional 2 to pay for the lights and vehicle equipment maintenance. So that was 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I had to have 12 stalls full. And I only had $1,000 to start it with, and that money went to paying for the lease. So I had to fill, what did I say? 12 or 13 stalls in 30 days. So I opened up all of my social medias and I started blasting it out like, hey, we're open, we're doing stuff. Come on in, come check us out. This is what we wanted to do. Or this is the kind of facility we're going to have, and we're going to teach this kind of stuff, or whatever. So my first person came in and I was like, this one feels iffy, but she should probably be okay. That one ended up being okay. Did ask her to leave later, but she was okay in the beginning. Then the second person that came over, it was just like, she's telling me about her horse, and she's like, nobody can touch this horse. And I'm like, I have volunteer kids that are trying to learn how to do these. If you can't touch your horse, we can't have her here. And she blew up, got so mad, swearing at me over the phone, like, viciously. I'm like, ooh, glad this one's not coming here. She was vile. And then, you know, I had to block her from all of the Facebooks because even, here's a fun one. Before I even opened my doors, somebody put a bad review on my Google thing, and I had to fight with Google for like 3 weeks, being like, dude, Google, I don't even know who this person is. I haven't even officially opened yet. And this person is saying that she's taken lessons from me and that I'm crazy. And I'm not crazy, but not good at giving writing lessons. Really? 20 years of experience and I'm not good at it? Okay, lady, you don't even know who I am. I had no idea who she was. So you gotta watch it, but there's crazy people everywhere. So you gotta take your good clients, hold on to them, make friends. I mean, it's kind of cool once you get the ball rolling and you get the momentum, the energy flow of business going. It gets really exciting and a lot of fun. So once you get that going, then it gets exciting, and then it gets different. But once you know, you have to be able to. I have also found the trick is you got to be able to kick a client to the curb, and after you do, you say, no, I can't work with you. I'm too busy, or whatever. However you want to tell them that you can't work with them. Then a lot of good flow of clients come in. So if you're willing to kick somebody off that you don't want to work with, then that's when the good people really start coming in. And there's a lot of different ways to get that up and running. So the next 20 minutes, I'm going to talk about different things about you yourself that will help you figure out how to get the ball rolling without a coach, because a lot of times not everybody has two incomes, and you're already working. I mean, like if you're a single person, you're already working a full-time job probably, and you're doing this on the side to see if it can be something that can work, because it can work. You just have to sort out time management and understand a few things about entrepreneurship that will help you be successful. One of them is the coaching thing. So like everybody knows, there's got to be a list somewhere that comes from the real estate licensing commission about who has recently passed, because I got flooded with a whole bunch of, like I said, a bunch of agencies that wanted me to work for them right off. With that, you also get a whole lot of coaches, and then if you're reaching out on social media, which is, by the way to go, then you have a whole lot of people that know that you're new, and you're reaching out for help, and you're asking questions, and a lot of people are going to suggest go to a coach. But what I have found, and this is like the secret thing, so this works with horse stuff also, and any other kind of sport. If you've got somebody that is up on a higher level, like way high level, like they make millions of dollars a year. I made $1 million last month, blah, blah, blah. First of all, those people, they're on a team. They have a team. The team made the money. It wasn't just one single person. One single person cannot pull in that kind of money every month and stay sane and healthy and rational. That's not you. There's a limit to what a person can do in a time frame. But it does depend a little bit on what you're selling to. You can get lucky, like if you have a couple of luxury listings somewhere out there and both of them close at the same time. Yeah, sure, you can bring in $1 million a month after you've worked them for 6 to 8 months, maybe a year, maybe even longer. Luxury takes longer to close. That's another thing too. Luxury and land, they take a little longer to close. Sometimes, not always. But you've got to sort out the people who are going to help you. And when you, depending on, and this is going back to why it's important to pick the right agency to work for, one that's going to work with your personality. You've got to kind of interview your agency too. Well, definitely interview your agency too. The main reason why I did EXP is because it was an 80-20 split. 80% comes to me, 20 goes to the company. Cool. No desk fee. Cool. There's just a couple other little fees, and they were small fees. So it's a very nice entry level, especially for single parents. With that, then you've got to surround yourself with people who actually want to help you succeed and that are going to do good things for you. With what that means is, like, I had Michelle. She and I sorted out a lot of things together, and she's very good at sorting things out, and she's very good at making sure that stuff gets done. More timely than, like, she has a more of a, her personality is more, get it done now. It comes in, do it, get it over with. And it's kind of like, I'm kind of not so good about that. I'm kind of like, oh yeah, okay, well, I have to do these other things first, and then I'm going to go do that thing. That's just my personality too, and that's Michelle's personality, but she helped me figure out a whole lot of stuff to do, or how to do a lot of things, it would be a better way to word it, and sort things out. So when you first start off, you get, like, dumped on you a whole lot of stuff. And yes, the majority of the stuff that you learn in school is not selling houses. It's to keep you from getting sued. It's to keep your agency from getting sued. And you have to learn the legal side of it before you can do this. It's heavy in contracts. So if you're not good at contracts and you're not able to tolerate that kind of pressure, that maybe not real estate, because you got to be careful. But you don't want to be. This is another one of my problems too. I started off being a little too careful, and not being able. So it took me a little bit longer because I didn't trust what was going on, as far as putting myself out there and what I could and couldn't say. That kind of scared me a little bit when they were talking, and not necessarily, like, fair housing is super important. I would hope I would never say anything that would be not fair housing approvable. But, I mean, even live, we're doing this live. You could make a mistake, and it's going to be recorded, and it's going to be on the internet. And once, anything's on the internet, it's on the internet. And I could make a mistake with something that I say. I even put up an ad one time, so it was so stupid. I used a word from another language, and somebody accused me of being anti-Semitic, and I'm like, no, there's no way. Some of my very good friends are Jewish. I'm not anti anything. In fact, I was really heavily offended because then she brought up Auschwitz, and I'm like, as I said, I'm Polish. There are 3 of my family members that did not make it out of Auschwitz. And they just because they lived 20 miles away from Auschwitz. That's why they were there. And then she wanted to accuse me of being all murder. And I'm like, dude, you are barking up the wrong tree, my friend. But anyhow, so you do have to be careful with those kinds of things. And starting off, what else? But I lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. Okay, so anyhow, beginning stuff. Oh yeah, into the coaching when you first start off. So you're dumped with a lot of information that you've got to process. You've got to be pretty good at computers. You've got to be pretty good at understanding processes, and you don't have to know this stuff all right off the bat. Pick a section to get good at, one piece at a time. That's my best advice for anybody who's doing stuff, is one piece at a time. And with a good coach, that's what I was talking about. So you've got your coaches that are way up here that are like I'm going to use horse stuff for an example, or, you could change it into Little League Baseball. If you've got a coach who is, the coach to a Major League Baseball team, you don't want that guy coaching T-ball. With horse stuff, if you've got an Olympic level rider, you don't want them coaching your 6-year-old kid. Fact. Huge fact. We have a lot of people in the equine industry that want to pay for a name, so they will pay that high-end coach for their 6-year-old or their 4-year-old who's only doing lead line classes and can't control themselves on a horse yet. For one, it's a waste of money, and for two, those people who are way up here, those people that I make $1 million a day, those people that are way up here in business, they don't remember because they've been doing it for 20, 30, 40, 10 years, 15 years, they don't remember what it's like starting off anymore. They forgot it here. I like to coach people here. I don't want to coach people up here. I'm not qualified to writing-wise coach up here because I'm here. I will teach here to here. I do a lot of beginners because I love little kids, but like there's some stuff, and I'm telling you now, I'm mid-range riding coach trainer. I will tell you now, in the last couple of years, there was a lot of times where I forgot how to explain that nicely. So you've got to be able to, you want somebody who's going to be here. So when you're finding people to help you out when you are first starting off, you need people here because they remember what they messed up on. And they remember it hard and fast. So those coaches up here that want you to pay them $1,000, $1,500 a month for coaching, wait till you're here. When you're here, get that coach. But take your time and save your money because in the beginning, money is really important. You're not gonna have a lot of it. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. Any business in general, 3 to 5 years. 3 to 5 years to start making a profit. And that's absolutely true. It's less overhead with some real estate agencies, so you can hit that profit part better. There's a whole lot of other factors involved too that are going to help you in your first year do well. Some people are going to make it right off the bat, $100,000 a year, absolutely. Some people aren't. Most people aren't. There might only be like maybe 10 people that do. But what are their advantages? Were their parents real estate agents and their parents own a brokerage? Of course, they're going to be making $100,000 right off the bat because they lived that whole entire life. They know what they're doing already. Or are you starting off dirt poor and you're just hoping that, you're going to do well, but you've got a good personality? Yeah, you can too, but it's going to take a little bit longer. And then there's going to be things like COVID that jump up in the middle of everybody's biz. That threw everybody off. And it was hard for everyone. So, you've got to take those kinds of insurances into account. What are you going to do if COVID comes in and like the day we were not allowed to go out was one of the first days I listed my second listing. So that was tricky. That was weird. Nobody knew what was going to happen, or how we were even going to do real estate, or if we were going to be able to do real estate. It took a little while for us to be considered essential, because people need a place to live. That's why. So with the coaching thing, those people are going to hit you really hard, and they're going to want you to pay them, the $1,000 a month. I had one coach person try to and they'll have it set up differently. I'll do a whole nother how-to coaches later, real estate coaches later, because I'm running out of time for our date night, our real estate date. With that, they're going to set it up in different tiers, so different ways that they run their coaching business. And I had one coach, you've probably seen her on a lot of the Facebook stuff. Her person who was dealing with the phones, because you weren't allowed to directly talk to her. The person answering the phones was trying to talk me into selling my truck, all of my horse equipment, my horses too, to pay for her. And I'm like, I wanted to because she was really good and it sounded really good, and I'm just like, I don't know, I'm really suspicious of like the timeshare pitch. Excuse me. I'm very suspicious of that. I don't like how it feels. It's too pressury. It's too weird. And then if you're not allowed to talk to the person who you're going to be coached by, but you've got to talk to their phone answering bank, those are the people that are going to push you really hard to do stupid things, like sell your truck, and the things that bring you joy. So there's that. And then there was another coach that I worked for, or worked with, not worked for. That was a shit show. Total and weird, and just because somebody runs a business does not mean that they are good people. So you've got to be careful about yours. So you hear a lot of talk about inner circle. So inner circle is a big deal. I go 5 and 7. I have my 5 special people, and then I have the 7 outer people, and then I have the rest of the world is questionable. And those people will change out often. So like sometimes I might need more of Dr. Ramani is a good one. She's on YouTube. I might need Dr. Ramani today. She's going to be in my 5. I might have to be like, I don't got time for YouTube, and I'm just going to be like, Michelle, I need you. So Michelle is definitely in my 5. So 5 is the closer, and 7 is a little further out. And then the rest of the world is questionable. Like there's probably a buffer of maybe 20 people that are pretty cool that I like to talk to a lot. But then, and I might need some Gary Vee. I may need some motivation. So you've got different people that you can pick from, and they don't have to be people you know personally. Like I spent a lot of my time when I was a kid learning all of my horse stuff from magazines. My friends were in the magazines. Now we have YouTube and all the other social medias that are really awesome to have, because now we have access to the entire world. The entire world. Very cool. I can listen to somebody talk about dressage from London. Like, that's so cool. Australia, there's a lady I like from Australia. She's pretty neat too. So, you can talk to anybody all over the place, and that's what makes it so great. So we've only got a few minutes left, and there's no questions, so I'm going to just keep it real tight to this 1 hour thing. When bringing up the whole world thing, I have hated the whole idea of cold calling. I hate the idea of scripts. Michelle will attest to that. I hate it. It sounds so phony and so fake and ridiculous. And cold calling, yeah, I'm going to call somebody I'm going to call somebody who already hates me because they're a FSBO, for sale by owner. I already know they hate me. And I'm going to call them and ask them if they want to list with me. Really? That's not how I hate being on the phone. I really struggled with that when I was a kid, calling even to order pizza. It was very hard for me. It made me very uncomfortable, like I would be anxiety-ridden just thinking about having to call and order pizza. But I ended up making myself do it. I can order pizza, it's fine, because pizza. But when you're cold calling people, come on. How many other people have already called this person in the first place because their house has been on the market and unsold for 40 days? And it's a reasonable house, and there's no reason that this house should be still for sale. It should be, pending, contingent, or closed by now. At almost closed it, or closed-ish. But then they want to hear from me. I don't care. I'm sure, and I've done it a couple of times actually, but I had a purpose behind it. It wasn't just to harass somebody. It was, hey, I've got some people. I need to make a list of all the horse properties. Horse properties run a little differently. They're kind of like land, kind of like farm. You're going to find a lot of for sale by owner stuff with that. So I did do that, and I felt comfortable doing that because I had a purpose. I had 3 people at the time looking for horse property. I wanted to put horse property on a list, like make my own little but my own little MLS of for sale by owner horse properties. So that I felt was valid. And I didn't approach him and these people in a way that was going to be like, hey, list with me because I'm the best. Yeah, so is everybody else. And they've heard it all before. So then I just said, look, I want to make a list of everybody. Can I come out, take pictures? Oh, yeah, sure, that'd be great. Thanks. So I got a thank you off of a cold call to a FSBO? Yeah, because I had a reason. So there's cold calling it can be useful. I'm not comfortable doing it unless I have a reason to. I'm not just going to, call people and harass them. I think that's rude. And I don't want people doing it to me. So I'm not going to do it to other people. So that's one take on how to market or marketing. You don't have to do scripts. This is not scripted. I don't even have an outline because I didn't figure anybody would be there. But we got 2 of you today. So thank you, mystery other person. I don't even have my outline of what I was going to talk about because I was just going to talk about general things. Get into the swing of it. Get in the habit. Get into the getting used to it part. So scripts, don't. Because people don't know who you are. And then if you come off as a script, you're going to sound just like the answer the phone from the weird area code and they're trying to talk about your car warranty. Come on. You're going to sound like that dude. or you're gonna sound like hi, you recently called us about health insurance. No, I didn't. So don't script. Call somebody with a reason. That's my recommendation. There's a whole bunch of other different things. Social media, use it a lot, all of it, all the time, any chance that you get. So yeah, we're coming on to 3 minutes left. There's still no questions, which is fine. I'll eventually get you guys talking. And we'll get more people in the group too to help with asking more questions and getting everybody comfortable with using social media. It's a good practice. This would be a good practice for all of you future people just watching this, and not if you've made it this far. This is a whole hour of me babbling. And no questions. That makes me sad. I like questions. Questions make me happy. But anyway, so here is coming to a close our 1 hour of I Want to Be a Real Estate Agent and some little things to think about. Some other little things to think about is like anybody, there is a very heavy entrepreneur aspect to this. I mean, like you are. If you're a real estate agent, you're an entrepreneur. And it's pretty great. I think it's great. I've been a serial entrepreneur my entire adult life. I've worked for other people, and it really irritates me to have a cap. I am only worth this much to this person. That's it. And I don't like how that feels. I have more self-worth than I am only worth $40,000 a year. I know I can do better, and I know it's more satisfying for me to do it on my own. And then it's more valuable when it's coming from, all of the hard work and the intention that I put into it. To me, my money means more. I feel more valuable being an entrepreneur. That's why I've chosen to do it for so long. And I grew up in, I grew up in an entrepreneur household, so that made it easy for me though, because I grew up that way. I grew up with that mindset. That was a big deal at my house, growing up. So just because you didn't grow up that way doesn't mean that you won't be able to. I'm more than happy to help at any point in time. Anybody who wants to ask questions on here, it doesn't have to be the Sunday night thing. It can be whenever. I'm more than happy to schedule a Zoom. So anybody who wants to do Zooms, ask. I will love coaching. I love coaching, and I'm not charging for this ever, because this is, I think, I'm mad at these people for trying to take advantage of these people. It's not fair. So I wanna be your lower level coach, I guess. Get you through the first hump, because it's the hardest part actually. And when you're done with that part, once you get over that first hump, go find a coach, because they're going to give you probably not all. They're going to give you some good upper range secrets that I don't have access to, but you need to find somebody down here who's going to help you get up there too. But anyways, 1 more minute and I'm going to end it. So yeah, if you've got any questions, feel free to Zoom me. We can have a totally fun conversation, just me and you, and or me, you, and some friends, some other people that you were considering working with. If maybe a whole group of you want to do the real estate thing together, that's pretty great. It's good to have the buddy system, because you guys are going to need each other for ideas and thoughts and projects and social media things. So another aspect about this is you're going to have to get really good at social media. I feel that's another thing too. It's like cold calling. It's like I don't want to do mailers. I always threw them away all the time. They came in, didn't even look at it. Especially if it was colored. This is before I got my real estate license. If it was colored to like any of the real estate companies, it just immediately got flicked into the holding the stack of mail, and it just kind of like flicked over the garbage. Didn't even look at it. So it's a waste of trees and somebody else's money. Because it doesn't work. I don't think it works. Some people are totally good at it, and they can totally make it work, and that's fine. But I would rather, my personality is I'd rather be here doing this and talking to people. I'd rather talk to people than email them. Who even looks at their email anymore? So yeah, the social medias and talking to people is what I'm good at. That's just me. There's other people that are good. Like, if I can find somebody who's really good at mailers who wants to come in and join our Facebook Live, I'll totally do that too. And they can talk about their experience with how to make mailers work for them. But that's pretty expensive. So this is free. This is free. Free marketing, by the way. I don't want to spend a lot of money in it. But anyhow, so I'm going to hold myself to this 1 hour thing. Anybody out there, like I said before, if you want to Zoom, totally, I'm open for that, and I will help answer all the noobs questions, since I've been doing it for a couple of years. And you're welcome, Michelle. I'm gonna be done. So peace out, friends, and see you next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, and I will talk to you guys then. All right, bye.